Look, I'm a passport sis, so I can't hate on a passport bro. Welcome to God.
You see how they're trying to just steal. It's like no matter what word we come up with, it's like somebody's always trying to steal it and they're trying to co-opt it. Yeah, as far as being a passport cis, do us all a favor when you go overseas, try to use less makeup because, some countries, especially if they're warm and humid, it's like all of that makeup's just gonna like melt off. And I don't know what that'll do to their water filtration systems over there. But that said, yeah, when we hear passport cis, this is basically what they're talking about. They're talking about women going to Caribbean and possibly African countries for sex tourism. The reality is, these foreign men ain't interested in you. So the only passport cissing that you're doing is you're going for sightseeing, and that's about it. So this is what happens when they go on these trips. It's usually a bunch of these women. There's no men in that group. There's a bunch of these women. They couldn't get any men to go with them. They get a group discount on a cheap ass airline. And this is exactly when I went overseas. I went to Thailand. And that's exactly what happens. It's a bunch of women who are basically like threes and fours at the best. And there's no men with them. They go overseas. The men over there want nothing to do with them. Don't even look at them. You know how when they talk, you see, it's funny. They invented the term that the women are invisible. When they talk about women being invisible, they mean that the men over there ain't talking to them. The men over there ain't trying to buy them no drink. They're saying that when they go to the restaurant, the men over there, it's completely transactional. The men over there are interested only for how much money they give to the tour guide. They're interested for how much money they give to the bartender as a tip, and that's it. They ain't trying to take you back to your room. They ain't trying to get nothing from you at all. That's what they're talking about when they talk about passport sisses. Now, passport bros are killing it. We are winning to the point of beyond winning. It's ridiculous. We got videos coming out. Brazil, Colombia, Dominican Republic. We got all these videos coming out all over the world. We got these dudes. I was watching last night. We got the dude in South Korea. I was in South Korea. I made the video of South Korea. I made a video of Thailand. I made a video of Maldives. Passport bros are killing it. We're killing it. 2023, you're going to see a whole lot more of this. A whole lot more of anti-passport bro shaming. And the reason why they're going to be doing it is simply because they're seeing these videos. I got, even at the end of this video, I got video. Every time that I see a black man happy and he marries one of these foreign women and they get married and they got the whole wedding dress and they're in the church and everybody's happy and everything, I love putting those as end caps on my videos or four caps. I love putting them in the beginning or the end because the thing about it is I'm trying to make sure. You know how these women keep saying, oh, why do you have to make a grand announcement about what you're doing? Why you got to tell everybody you going overseas? I want all of these young men to understand that there's more to life than what they see here in America. This is a toxic environment. The only thing this country is good for is the money, and that's because this country controls inflation and they control, we have what's called the International Monetary Fund. We control money across the globe, and we keep these other economies suppressed. It's a racist thing that they're doing. It's a horrible thing we're doing. But fortunately, if you're an American man, your money is worth so much in other countries. It was like even when I was in Maldives and I exchanged US dollars to get more money, they paid me above the exchange rate to get my money. I don't know if it was because of the Russia v. Ukraine thing, because while I was in Maldives, that had already started happening. But they paid me above the exchange rate. In many countries, you get paid above the exchange rate for American dollars. Now, the reality is, I want these young men to understand that there's more to life than being stuck here and listening to this nonsense from Mrs. Makeup here. I want them to understand that there's a huge world out there. I want them to understand that when they see these passport, and they're listening, they're watching and they're listening because they've been dragged into it by Fresh and Fit. They've been dragged into it by the Brittany Renners. They've been dragged into it by all of this. Because, see, nobody's watching television no more. They watching YouTube. They watching us. The views that we're getting on these videos are proof that they're watching us. I want them to know that there's more to life than being forced here to stay here and accept sloppy seconds. They don't have to be stepdads. They don't have to be cleanup bros. I want these young men to understand that they don't have to be your plan B. I want them to understand that there's more to life. We're going to keep on speaking out. We're going to keep on making grand announcements. We're going to keep on showing 4 and 5 hour videos. We're going to keep on making these YouTube streams. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Let's keep going.
Goddess Inner Circle. My name is Tasha. We do Women's Empowerment Specialists over here. Double tap the video, hit the plus sign, join the Goddess Inner Circle. Let's get into this comment. I've noticed there's a trend or pattern on many of my posts where a man is going to mention passports.
The moment that these men are hearing you talking that feminist liberal nonsense that you learned in some liberal arts school that you're still paying the student loans for, first thing they're going to say is, hey, men, get your passports. Why? Because those men, too, understand that they want these younger men to know that there's more to life than being stuck here. There's more to life than being stuck in this circle. There's more to life than being stuck like a hamster on the wheel. All right, let's keep going.
So I guess we're on to the newest scare tactic. I guess shaming us with being alone with cats has faded out.
Okay, the person who was shaming you about being alone with cats and dogs, that was Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels is dead now, but his voice lives on thanks to YouTube videos. The reality is, passport bros aren't shaming you. They're not shame blaming or explaining you. The passport bros are getting their passports and they leaving. And then on top of that, they're telling all the other men that they're leaving, why they're leaving, and showing receipts. So that this way, those men have an option to leave too.
You see, that doesn't work. I guess you realize you guys are dying of loneliness as we...
Passport bros are not dying of loneliness. I can pull up any passport bro video and I can clearly show you that we're not dying of loneliness. I'm not going to put her on my YouTube videos, but if I showed you my chick, you would see right away that I ain't dying of loneliness. If you could be in my bedroom at 4 a.m. when we getting it on, you would see that I'm not dying of loneliness. If you could see the meals that are being cooked and prepared by hand, chopping up the vegetables and the fresh fruits, you would see that I'm not alone. Passport bros have beaten this system. This system tried to keep them pinned down. Passport bros are destroying it. We're posting receipts, dear. Posting receipts. We got passport bros speaking in tongues. They speak in Brazilian Portuguese now. Speaking in tongues. We got passport bros over there in Thailand right now making videos. What are you talking about? Meanwhile, you're here with the makeup making TikTok videos. Just keep that in mind.
Speak, so you can't keep projecting your loneliness onto us. So that shame and scare tactic hasn't worked. You can't really dangle marriage over our heads because we're fulfilling our lives up with other important things.
Studies show by 2030, 45% of women are going to be single and childless. What you're fulfilling your lives with is student loan debt. You're sitting in somebody's church. You're sitting in somebody's college, you're sitting in somebody's university, and you're doing other things. You're racking up student loan debt, praying on your knees, praying to Joe Biden to forgive your student loan debt. That's what you're doing. That's what you're fulfilling. You're getting your PhDs. I'm a PhD. Beep, beep. I'm a PhD. I'm a PhD. The Kevin Samuels button. Man, I missed that button. That was hilarious. I got to make one of those. I'm going to get a Stream Deck Pro, I think, so I can make my own I'm a PhD button. That's what you're doing. You're fulfilling your lives by running up student loan debt. You're going out and buying Range Rovers and X3s and leased BMWs and leased Mercedes so you can make it look like you're living your best life. Meanwhile, the debt is hanging around your neck like an albatross. You're getting evicted. You're getting foreclosed on. Regardless of what you say in the TikToks, the statistics coming out of the news media are telling us the truth. So just keep that in mind.
Things until the right marriage come along. And so I guess you
I have news for you, dear. The right marriage is never coming along. And the sad thing about y'all is you talking about being a passport cis, you're going overseas to screw with men in Africa and Caribbean islands, the West Indies, right? Those men have no intention whatsoever of marrying you beyond getting here so that they can get their green card and that they can just leave you for somebody else. In fact, it's so funny because there was a video that I was watching on one dude's channel, and he actually showed one of these passport bros who was a foreign guy, and he did that to this chick, and she's like, "Oh, I'm processing. I'm processing this. I can't. It's hard for me to process this," and he's like, "Yeah, you don't treat me well, and I'm leaving," and he just left. Most of these foreign women, they know damn better than to do that shit because the thing about it is these women are smart enough to play the long game. They will keep this man until he dies and then they'll inherit all his shit. But I have news for you. Guys don't care. They want children, they want their family, they want a marriage, and that's all they want. They don't care about what the woman wants. If the woman wants him for his money, they don't care. If the woman wants to be in his house, they don't care. If a woman wants him for his wealth and his car and all that shit, they don't care. Men just want what they want, and they will do whatever it takes to get it. That's the whole point.
see that hasn't worked. So I guess the new scare tactic for women to lower their standards is
Kevin Samuels was saying that you need to lower your standards. But let's understand why you need to lower your standards. You are competing for the top, like, 1% of males. The reality is the majority of males don't make $300,000 a year. The majority of males don't have two houses and stuff. The majority of males don't have multiple properties, excellent 850 score credit, and a Mercedes S-Class sitting outside. That's not the majority of males, dear. So when they say lower your standards, they're saying lower your standards to what you're bringing to the table. And the sad thing is, most of you really aren't bringing much to the table. If I want to be blunt, most of you are bringing virtually nothing to the table. You're bringing student loan debt. You're bringing high body counts. You're bringing another man's kids to the table. Your baby mama. So when they're saying lower your standards, I think what they're trying to say is, like, you're wasting your time, basically.
we gonna get our passports if y'all don't.
We gon' get our passports! Get your passports, man. Get your passports. We gon' get our passports! I feel like that guy on Beat Connect. Get your passports! I had to do that.
Lower y'all standards. And I'm here to tell you, I am a passport cis.
You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? I live abroad. Oh, okay, wait. Let her finish.
I live abroad. I left the United States. I don't live in the United States. What do I look like hating on a brother who does the same thing?
Let me explain something to you. The experience for her living outside the United States is in no way comparable to an American man who leaves the United States and lives abroad. Women abroad from America who live abroad, they have no choice but to lower their standards because those men in those countries don't want American women at all. There's nothing that you could do for them that their own women can't do for them.
It would be hypocritical for me.
Guys, take a good look at her ring finger. That's all you need to know right there. Take a good look at her ring finger. That's her left arm. Take a good look at her ring finger. That's all you need to know. Had she been a passport bro, not a passport sis, you see that ring finger? There'd be something on it. But guys, you see that picture? You see that right there? That right there is all you need to know. The reason why she's got time to be making these stupid TikTok videos is because of that right there. Look at her finger. Look at her left ring finger. That right there tells you everything you need to know. Well, that and the makeup. The makeup tells you a lot you need to know too. Because I seen her videos without the makeup, and that's a hell of a lot of makeup. Like, I don't know much about makeup, like, foundation and all that stuff, but like, there's some dudes who would probably be questioning your gender at this point. But anyway,
To tell a man he shouldn't go abroad and experience an abundant life, because I'm doing that. I'm not mad at men who want to go abroad and to discover other things and maybe better relationship dynamics. But what I don't like is when you use the passport.
I don't know who's shaming you with a passport. I think the only people that are making comments about the passport are people who are telling any man who happens to be listening on your TikTok that what they should do is get their passport. I don't think how do you shame somebody with a passport? That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. I have a passport. How do I shame you with it? Like, that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, how do you shame shame is like the ability to instill guilt and fear in somebody with by pointing out like their own misdoings. It's like, never mind. It's just stupid. It's just dumb.
To shame me.
It's all psychobabble.
You also try to do this with telling us you're going over to white women.
There it is. There it is. There it is right there. There it is. There it is right there. It goes back to, what was that movie, Waiting to Exhale? You remember when what was her name? I think it was Angela Bassett, when she was tearing out this guy's closet after she found out that he's at work banging out the white secretary, and she's tearing up his closet and burned his car to the ground and this, that, and other. She's up there screaming about white women and this, that, and other. There it is. That train is never late, guys. That train is never late.
Until white women start outing many black men for mistreating them. We're at a paradigm shift, guys. So scare tactics are not going to work for women. I'm not against you bettering yourself. I'm not against you going to where you're celebrated. I understand there's a lot of...
You know what? I think the most important thing to understand here is the ego and the psychology and the pathology of these women who are making all these TikToks. I think the most important thing to understand is these women somehow got the belief that they're in control of a man's future and his reproductive freedom. I don't know where they got that idea from. They got the idea that you're supposed to be at their behest. They somehow got this idea that your resources belong to them. And it's very subtle how they get these ideas. Like, for instance, this whole bullshit with this taxation shit, they think that they're supposed to be able to take out of your pocket just because you have it and they don't. It starts just like that. It grows into this bullshit where now that you see the men are leaving you, and you see that the men are going abroad to get Jamila and Mei Ling and Becky and Maria, they think for some reason that they have access to your finances and your reproductive freedom. I don't know how they got that idea, but they got that idea in their head. Well, now, passport bros, it's time for us to show them that they're wrong. It's time for us to show them not only are they wrong about what we have, but they're wrong about this future generation of males. And we're going to keep making grand announcements. We're going to keep on with the passport bro content. And we want these younger men to understand They can make whatever choice they want, but we want them to see that there's more to life than what they see right here. Nobody has a right to your work except you. Anything more than that is slavery. Nobody has a right to your finances except you. Nobody has a right to your money but you. Now, as long as you don't make the mistake of having children with one of these women, they don't have any right to your finances whatsoever. I think a scary thing that I've seen, and it's kind of been on the horizon in Australia and Canada, they have like laws where if a woman cohabits with you long enough, whether you're married to her or have children with her or not, that you owe her palimony or some shit. I don't even know what they call it. But they're trying to make it so that just because a woman may live in your house for a certain time, that she has a right to stay there. That's not true. If you bought the place together, then that might be true. But if your name is on your property and she happened to just recently come in there, she ain't got no rights in there at all. But these other countries who don't have a U.S. Constitution and don't believe in individual freedom, that's the real problem, individual freedom. These women think that they have a right to cancel out your Second Amendment because they don't feel comfortable because you have a Second Amendment right. That ain't true. My Desert Eagle says that ain't true. Right, Desert Eagle? Hey, Desert Eagle, what do you think? Do you think that's true? Let me ask this question. Do you think that it's true that these women, now listen to me, Desert Eagle. Do you think that it's true that people have a right to cancel my Second Amendment just because they don't feel comfortable that I have constitutional Second Amendment rights? What do you think about that, Desert Eagle? My Desert Eagle says no, he doesn't think that's true. And I agree with him. All right, so anyway, let's keep going.
Division right now. I understand that many of you guys are frustrated, but solving the problem is going to require intellectual conversations and higher level conversations. But you guys throwing these scare tactics and shame.
Nobody's trying to scare nobody. Nobody's trying to shame nobody. Y'all are the ones on here making these stupid ass TikTok videos. And to tell you the truth, it's excellent content strategy for those of us on YouTube who need content. And that's the reason why this is going to keep going. I'm going to keep making videos. Other people are going to keep making videos. And we're just going to keep going. And it's fun. The difference between us is that when the Passport Bros make their videos are going to show all of these beautiful tropical locations, and their videos are going to show all these beautiful young wives that they've put rings on their finger. That's the difference between our videos.
Tactics out, it's not going to be a very effective strategy. So get your passport.
That is the one thing that she said that I totally agree with. Get your passport. I just got my passport renewed. I've renewed my passport 3 times. This is the 3rd time. Just got it renewed. I'm ready to go. We're going to Bora Bora. We're going to Singapore. What did Howard Dean say? We're going to Bora Bora. We're going to Singapore. We're going to the Philippines. And then we're going to go to South America. And we're going to take back the White House. Yeah!
Go over there because you're only going to be able to afford to stay there as long as your tourist visa.
Now, you see what's funny about that? All of these backhand... See, that's the sad thing about these women and their pathology and their egos. I want you to notice that they can't simply give you any level of compliment without a backhanded compliment. You're talking about until your visa runs out. Do you realize how many of these countries have been devastated by COVID and they're desperate to get American men specifically to bring our pensions to their countries, and they want us to be permanent residents? Do you understand that? Do you realize that Thailand was trying to start 90-day visas, and then they came back and they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to release information about how expats can come here and live here and invest in property here. Do you realize that countries like Sardinia, and I brought this up in the news, you can look it up right now. Sardinia is offering $15,000 to get you to come there and invest in staying there and invest in their property. Do you realize that Japan is doing the exact same thing? Japan's population is dying. They are offering money to foreigners to come there, buy a traditional Japanese house in Nagano, and stay there. Do you realize any of that? Passport sis. My question is, where are you a passport sis? Because chances are it's either in the Caribbean, Africa, or some part of the UK. But the bottom line is you don't know any of this because you don't really travel. You just travel to safe places where you feel stronger and better than the men there because they don't make as much money as you simply because you're bringing money from America. Well, guess what? American men are doing the exact same thing, only for us it works because we can actually get married and you can't. Because as we can see, you haven't. So anyway.
Out because most of you won't even be able to afford to be residents there.
Don't you just love how these backhanded compliments? I gotta love the backhanded compliments. I lived in Shanghai, China as a student. I was paying less than $300 a month for my apartment, my utility, less than, and I can't make this up. I was paying less than $300 a month for my apartment and my utilities. And I had the same size apartment that a typical Chinese family would have living in Shanghai. I still remember the address. It was 288 Guoding Road, right down the block from Fudan University. The reality is, it's like you're trying to do these backhanded compliments. Anybody who's a passport bro knows that they can go to Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, or Cambodia, or Laos. They can live in just about any of those countries, and it's going to cost them less than $2,000 a month. The passport bro lifestyle is best for either expats or it's best for retirees. Yeah, we can afford to live there because the checks keep coming and we just keep living.
Ask me how I know. Stay woke.
You know what they said in closing? Stay woke, stay broke.
I know the internet creates a lot of courage with a lot of people. But would you walk into a seminar? Would you walk into a venue where people are teaching and coaching and providing content and stand up on a microphone?
Yes.
And ask those people, don't listen to the person providing you guys with information. Go and get the information somewhere else. I think that people are very disrespectful and very rude, and that will not be tolerated in the Goddess Inner Circle.
Well, considering you have like fewer than 5,000 followers, it's like the Goddess Inner Circle is pretty small. So whatever won't be tolerated within it, it's like it's inconsequential to the world at large.
It's not a woman's job to be caught up in worrying about if she's desirable enough for the next man.
You know what's funny? When you deal with these ridiculous feminists, and it's funny because I actually, a while back, I did a collab with this woman who got shot down by replicant fish. Some of you may remember that video. And when I brought up all of these things that women are doing that are absolutely like horrid and disgusting, the first thing she could reply with is, oh yeah, well, there's some men out there who like it. I'm like, you know what? This is the problem right here. This feminist shit is a disease. And it's such a disease until they can't even see it and what it's doing, not only to them, but what it's doing to younger women, right? So the reality is we already know what this one's story is. Like, she's old, she's post-wall, she's hit that wall at like 90 miles an hour. She's like a Hellcat that lost its steering and was speeding and wham, like right into the wall, right? And what is she doing? She's shame, blame, and explaining to these married men and these men who are getting real relationships while she's sitting at home watching Real Housewives of Atlanta or Desperate Housewives that are basketball wives or some bullshit show. And she's pissed off and she's jealous and there ain't nothing she can do about it except throw on a ton of makeup and make these stupid videos.
I don't teach women to care about what men desire, and I don't teach men to ask women to ask men what they care.
Yeah, I don't teach them
The
women
proof is
to
in the
ask.
pudding, the proof is in the results, the proof is in the evidence. As you grow into a certain lifestyle, you become part of that lifestyle, you experience that lifestyle. That is the data.
What?
And if you need more proof, I've provided you with several examples. You can go into your zip code and get the same data. Look up all of the lawyers and judges, their wives. Look up all of the most successful and influential married men in your localities. They're going to be on the arm of a successful woman.
Excuse me? From what I've noticed, the real successful women are usually on the arm of a way more successful man. And there's a simple reason for that. It's because women are hypergamous and they date up. Now, that's a typical talking point you hear a lot. But the other side of that coin is that men are hypogamous and men date down. Successful men aren't trying to come home to an empty house where there's no food ready, the house is filthy, and like there's no sex waiting for them. So these men are not dating women who are working longer hours than them. You can pretty much guarantee that. One thing you'll probably notice about these celebrity marriages and these wealthy men who get married, they always date down. They never date up. And again, it's a simple reason. They expect their wife to be home when they get there. No matter how she figures it out, whatever the job she's doing, they expect their wife to be home when she gets there. A man might forgive her not being there once or twice, but if she's not at home, clean house, food on the table, and sex waiting for him, chances are that relationship ain't gonna last too long, or he'll be cheating with the secretary. And then that becomes the problem, because if he's cheating with the secretary, then he looks at his wife, he's like, well, what the hell do I need you for if I'm getting all my sex from the secretary? I come home, there's no food and there's no clean house. So, yeah, you know what? These women can twist it however they want to. The statistics, which I've already read for you, and I showed you the stories, the statistics have shown us three things. Number one, they showed us that most of these women cannot afford their living. They can't afford these car notes. They can't afford these houses. They can't afford these apartments. The second thing is that they showed us by 2030, 45% of these women are going to be single. The other thing that they showed us is that for those women who think that they're going to wait and they're going to be able to go to the sperm bank, they've showed us that less than 2% of these sperm donors are black males. So if these women want to have a child that looks like them, the only choices they got are Pookie and Ray Ray DNA. Imagine, I would love to make a movie where it's about cloning, like The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where it's like a woman who's waited past her prime, and then she goes to the sperm bank and she tries to clone herself for something, and all she can get is Pookie and Ray Ray sperm. It's just sad.
That's on period. I mean, we ain't got to go back and forth on this. Only the dusties and the low level and average people are doing hypogamy. See,
Now, you know what? It's funny she just used that word. Most people don't use that word hypogamy because most people haven't looked it up enough to understand that word. But look at what she's talking. She's talking about Dusties doing hypogamy. That's the stupidest shit ever, because that is just how nature is. First of all, no matter what man you look at in society, it doesn't matter how high you look. It doesn't matter if it's Elon Musk. Doesn't matter if it's Bill Gates. Doesn't matter if it's Bill Clinton. Doesn't matter if it's Vladimir Putin. Doesn't matter if it's Bill Cosby. Doesn't matter if it's Martin Luther King. It doesn't matter what man you look at. The woman is always beneath him. Hypogamy. You're up there calling men dusty for dating down, but what kind of smoke does your nonsense, ridiculous feminist crap have for women who specifically date up? If women date up and men date down, then the only way this works out is if they meet in the middle and she's dating up and he's dating down. There is no man in history who dated a woman above him. First of all, because there's never been a woman above the highest man. It just doesn't happen. It's like Adam. He dated Eve. Eve was below him, and that's it. He married Eve. She was below him. That's just he came first. She came second. I don't understand why this is so hard to understand. But see, this is the problem. When you're a feminist and your mind is clouded with bullshit and student loan debt from some liberal arts education that was worthless, where you can't get a job now, that's when you understand. Let's keep going.
Low level, low quality rich men practice hypogamy, where they go marry the woman from 7-Eleven. That's
Exactly. You know why? Because that rich man, maybe he pulled into 7-Eleven in his Lamborghini, got out, he went in to get a coffee, and he sees a gorgeous, young, and by the way, I said young, not your age, young, gorgeous girl working behind the counter, and he met her and he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, my name is Lucinda." And he's like, "Hey Lucinda, would you like to go out on Friday? You know, I think you're gorgeous and I'd love to take you out on a date." And then she looks outside and she sees that Lamborghini, right? Or she sees that Mercedes S-Class, or she sees that Hellcat sitting outside, and she's like, "Oh yes, I love to go out." So he's dating down, she's dating up, everybody's happy. You know when they're not happy, goddess? I don't know why everybody got called himself queen or goddess, because you ain't queens, you ain't goddesses. Queens have kings next to them. You do not. You're going to the holiday party alone. You're at home with the dog and the cat alone. But anyway, she dates up, he dates down, everybody's happy. He got himself a nice young wife, and because she worked at 7-Eleven, chances are she's used to servitude. So she's used to, keeping a clean counter and a clean coffee bar and this, that, and other. So he doesn't have to worry about having a clean house. He doesn't have to worry about there being food ready because she's used to stocking the Frank machine that rolls the Franks and cooks them. All he has to do is bring home the money, and she gets to live a nice luxury lifestyle. She gets to quit 7-Eleven and she gets a better life. What do you get, the goddess? What do you get? You know what you get? You get to sit around with the other 45% of women who are going to be single in 2030, and y'all get to watch Desperate Housewives of Atlanta, and y'all get to talk smoke and shit, and nobody cares. And at the end of the day, the men your age are getting their passports and they getting foreign wives. Sociological theory has shown us through numbers and data that in any society, there's always going to be women outnumbering men. And on top of that, men are always going to be married at a higher rate than women, simply because there's more women than there are men. And that's just that. Welcome to nature, dear.
that's a different type of men, right?
A different type
Just
of men.
it ain't money alone. We're talking about success.
What?
So let's take a look at the pictures. We got George Clooney, Tamia and Grant Hill, Angela Bassett and Courtney. We've got Idris Elba. We've got Deion Sanders. These all are women who are just like us. They're sophisticated. They're intelligent. They're feminine. They have great personalities, great demeanors. They're very successful women.
Those women are not on TikTok complaining. The difference between those women and you is that those women have a wedding ring on their left hand, on their ring finger. Let me tell you a secret. Whenever I see any woman, especially if I see a woman talking and giving advice, first thing I do is I look at her ring finger on her left hand. If her ring finger ain't got nothing on it, then I know right away not to take her seriously. I know right away not to take her seriously. If her ring finger has a wedding ring on it, I'm not talking about one of them fake-ass, cheap-ass rings that women get now to make it look like they got a ring on their finger. No, I'm not talking about one of them fake party rings that you buy from Party City. No. I'm talking about a wedding ring. These women got their ring. Where's yours, the goddess? Where's your wedding ring? I got into the same argument with this feminist that I brought on my channel. She's not even worth mentioning because it's funny because her channel and her book, it hasn't gone anywhere since I did that interview. And I interviewed her specifically because I wanted to get her while she was fresh and hot after Replicant Fish had torn her ass apart. But I looked at her hand, no wedding ring. She couldn't even. I asked her, "Whoa, when are you guys getting married?" Because she's dating some dude who's a cleanup bro, who want to be a stepdad to her first kid because he's getting easy sex from her. So my thing was, I was like, "So where's your wedding ring?" And I don't show this and I don't show that. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Yeah, you're full of shit, full of shit."
And they're next to very successful men. Don't listen
Where's
to the
your ring?
women out here and don't listen to these other men.
Where is your ring? Nobody got to listen to me. If I don't know what I'm talking about, people, all they got to do is ignore me. I have a simple question. Where's your wedding ring? Because I don't see it. Where is it? Where is it?
Once you attain the level of self-actualization and level
Look at her hand. Can I pause this with her hand?
up, you will attract
If you look at her hand,
your
you'll see that she
equal.
doesn't have
That's
a
on
wedding ring on that
period.
left hand.
You're going to
She's wearing one of
attract
them
your
bullshit rings.
equal. They're not
All you got to do is look at her hand and you automatically know who to listen to. She's wearing one of them bullshit fake ass rings. It's not on that ring finger. That right there tells me not to take you seriously at all. Right there. Where's your husband? Where is your husband? You're so sophisticated. You're so sophisticated, the goddess. You're so sophisticated. Where's your husband? Exactly.
going to be intimidated by your success. So you don't really need to be going out networking and asking people.
And I think the telling fact about all this is that women who are married aren't out there talking all this bullshit on TikTok. You know, it's funny because Congress just banned TikTok on government devices. I hope Congress takes the next step and bans TikTok in America. I never liked Facebook. I enjoyed watching Zuckerberg lose a lot of money. But the reality is, TikTok, as much as I enjoyed TikTok for having destroyed Facebook, the problem is TikTok is turning younger kids into absolute morons because they're sitting in these schools and watching TikTok all goddamn day. Parents have finally realized that they've started complaining their kids don't do anything but play on TikTok, watch TikTok. And now you get these old ass women, these old ass post-war women, and what they're doing is they're on TikTok talking shit. I think Congress should ban TikTok altogether. Yeah, something else will pop up and they'll jump on that. But I think for the meantime, we should ban TikTok altogether. Even if that means sacrificing my account, I really don't care. I just started this bullshit. I've got like less than 10 followers or something like that. And on YouTube, I'm closer to 100,000. So I really don't care. So either way.
Live the life, continue to be the successful woman you are. Stop dating down, stop marrying average, stop going low, aim high. You'll be there. And that's the research. That's all.
When these women follow your advice, all of them will be able to end up old and single, just like you. Old and single. Kevin Samuels used to say, buy a dog, die alone. Well, good luck with that. But if these women decide to follow your advice, they're going to end up old and single.
When I think about this Passport Brothers movement, I can't help but to see it as a form of a slave trade movement. At the end of the day, it's these brothers seeking out foreign women who they would like to be their beautiful sex slaves in exchange for breadcrumbs. I mean, all women basically need three things: security, stability, and communication in a man. These foreign women, these men feel like they can find less financial responsibility. So that knocks out the security. By them speaking a foreign language, there's less communication, so these men don't have to hear her mouth. Then with the distance in between them, these brothers have the ability to be unstable and cheat and not be held accountable as much. So they want a submissive woman, but really they just want an obedient as a slave woman for financial dependency, which really is just breadcrumbs. It's disgusting.
That's some bullshit.
I will always love you. I will always protect you. No matter what happened, I will always be there to support you for your success. I will love you for the rest of my life.
To be continued.